This stuff here, Yerushalmi says, my Sheni article also audition one the fourth line down on Daf Memoral for Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Lezer, and in the Vilna it's on Chav Dalin base the third line down. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Lezer said, "Emutim l'chomish asela shniya." There a bunch of proposals in different mafarshim to change the girsa of the names, but we're going to go take it straight, and which is the most a simple way of dealing with shot here. So the case in the Mishnah where you did Mashicha on the Ma'aser Sheni when it was a seller, and then went up price before able to buy it to two slime. So now the first seller, you don't have to give a chaymish on because it's not your Ma'aser Sheni. You just bought it. So then you purchase the redemption. But his chiddush is that even on the second seller, which now you have to pay in addition, which now it's in your Rishus, so you might say you have to pay a chomesh, no, you have to pay a chomesh that either. So that's he says. You don't add a chomesh on the second chomesh, on the a chomesh on the second seller. So Rabbi Lezer Mistakobe. Now, this is where they changed the girsa because Yossi was just quoted Rabbi Lezer, and was looking at him strangely for he was just quoted by him. So they changed the girsa to Rabbi Zira. They changed the girsa to other things, but in any event, somebody was looking askance at this statement. Amalei, they said, "My mistakobi." So Rabbi Yossi responded and said, "Well, you look at me strangely." Af Rabbi Hila modaba. Even Rabbi Hila concedes the point. And again, they changed the girsa here because where does Rabbi Hila come out into this out of left field? You know, he's not part of this conversation here. So as it's not quoted here in the next part of the conversation either, whether Rabbi Yochanan is. But in any event, Af Rabbi Hila modaba kaida Amar Rabbi Yochanan, like Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Hila, according to the girsa as is in front of us, Rabbi Hila, Rabbi Yochanan on the same page. So to say Rabbi Hila concedes the point to me because Rabbi Yochanan's statement. Then Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Ma'aser Sheni Sheinu Hu Pidyon Mishlo. Anything the Ma'aser Sheni is not it and its pidyon his. Eino Mosiv Chemish. You don't add Chemish. And this evidently is considered to be not his, presumably because he acquired it from elsewhere. So therefore, even though the Mashicha is not covered the price of the pidyon, nevertheless, it determined the status, the definite category of the pidyon. The category of pidyon is being paid in Ma'aser Sheni Sheina Shelo. So a gam that it went up in value when it's in your Rishus, but since the pidyon began by being paid in Ma'aser Sheni Sheina Shelo, it retains that character, even though you're required now to give an additional amount, and therefore the additional amount does not require a chemish, which is it's a chiddush, but that is evidently what Rabbi Yochanan had in mind. That's why he says you should not look at me askance. Okay, now the Gemara says in the article that's there, so that goes back on our Mishnah. In our Mishnah, Rabbi said that you have to say explicitly, Hared Mugreshes, Hared Mukudeshes. So the Gemara says, "Ma'ut tzarich lefarish." What does it mean? Do you have to be mefarish? Zeki tek v'zek kiddushin. By getting kiddushin, you have to say, "This is your get. This is your kiddushin." V'achan, here you have to say, "Zeh pidyon Ma'aser Sheni." You have to say, "This is the redemption of the Ma'aser Sheni." Rabbi Zira, and explicitly, it can't be enough to just be involved in the act. You have to say it outright. Rav Zira B'chia Barbun Abar Bar Tachlifa B'Shem Rabbi said, "Ma pligin." When is this machlokas about whether a sukkah b'osini works or doesn't work? Sheifligu daiton liyanos acheres. That where they were speaking about kedushin, but then they started speaking about other things, not things completely other, but things which have to do with the marriage, like how much of a dowry do you have, how many fields do you have, what are we going to do after we get married, things like that. So that if you're involved in that matter completely, consistently, then get who, and the Rashi really adds, although I know it's necessary, kiddushin who. So and this really is about exactly the same as the Bavli kiddushin davav. Rabbi Chage boy kumi Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Chagai asked in front of Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Rabbi Yossi, Renas Rabbi Huda. We say that the machlokas Rabbi Nassan is the same machlokas Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Huda in our Mishnah. The thing at Tamon, what's that machlokas? If she's the Kabbalah, the shliach comes to a husband and says, "I'm your wife, shliach Kabbalah of the get. I'm sent to accept the get on her behalf." So the husband says, "It's not possible for you to accept the get on her behalf." Ella says Yeholach, but the all Mepharshim change it to same Lashem Kin. Ella holech, not holach, but holech, b'teila, take it and give it to her. So he changed the nature of the shlichus. The shlichus initially been a shlichus for Kabbalah. That's a wife appointed the shliach. He changed it, says, no, you can only be a shliach la'alacha, not a shliach Kabbalah. So, and halacha is a shliach la'alacha, as long as he hasn't reached the wife with the get, the husband can renege on the get. So the Mishnah, Mishnah, right? Yeah. Masnisin the Rebbe, and that Mishnah is going like Rebbe. The Tani, was we learned in the price of Amr, she said, Havali Gitti. And again, they changed the gears to Hiskabo. Receive me my get. Amar Lo, and that's what the woman said. And the Shliach went and said to the husband, Ishlamra Hiskabali Gitti. His wife said, your wife said, go be Makam my get. Halichala v'nasnala. He took it to her and gave it to her. Zachala. I'm not sure how to parse this line here. Not sure. It's a Tosefta in the Gittin Perek Dalad Rice Aleph. Yerushalmi, there's what those Babin Gittin, some Gimel, Yerushalmi Gittin, at the beginning of the sixth parak. She said, "He's Kabbalah Giti," and the Shliach said to the Baal, "I'm a Shliach Kabbalah," and the Baal said, "One of these is Shonas, so he's Kabbalah, Lichola, a Loshon of his Kabbalah." So that, or he said, "Holichola," or Nasnula, Vinnasnula. And anyway, the bottom line is it didn't say she, so she didn't change the nature of her shlichus. So let's see again. Let's see that. He said it over correctly to the husband. Alichula, Nasnula, Zachala, Iskabala. These are all the shyness which the husband uses. He doesn't say she. That's the bottom line. He doesn't change the nature of shlichus. So if he can't renege, he remains. He's a shliach Kabbalah. He says shliach Kabbalah. The husband did not explicitly reject that, so he remains a shliach Kabbalah. And also my lichula and nasula. If he changed, no, even didn't say she. He said holichula or nasula. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Nitnula, nitano, whatever it is. But he didn't say she, but he used the language as the language of the Sheikh Lalacha. Imotzo hachzir yachzir. And then he can change. Then the Sheikh becomes Sheikh Lalacha, and the husband can renege as long as the get has not reached her. Zachala iskabala. If you use the lashon of zaket la iskabala, imotzo hachzir lo yachzir. There he didn't change the sichos, so he can't renege. Rabbi Omer, and I'm going to the Bryce of Emily repeats with Rabbi Shita. But kula lo yachzir ad sheyomer lo iyam shashir kabli elo shatoichila. In all cases, he can't renege the Shlev Kabbalah unless he explicitly undermines the original shlichus and says it's not possible for you to do what you intended to do. No, you have to become a shliach la'alacha. So the Gemara says, and here we have changing gears from, I think it's the was the Rasulio. Maybe it's the Gra, the Rasulio, whatever. So Levi Yerushalmi has the following girsa. The kasha al the Rebbe, it's difficult on the Rebbe. Holech when he says this holech, and instead of holach, midibura imratzal hachzir yachzir. So the why not sure exactly what's going on. Come back to this in a second here. Let me read that line again. The kasha of the Rebbe. It's difficult on the Rebbe. Now, you could. It says in the Gemara halach. Those who change girsa to holech. It works either way, but the point is that halach works, I think, slightly better because the question is if hasukim bosa inyan is valid, and even if there's a slight deviation, so then whatever his intent was should be what determines it, even if the language is not precise. It should be like, hey, look, here's this based on whatever I had in mind. So therefore, that's a question. Therefore, even though his language is not precise, we should be choshesh that he had the other thing in mind. And that's the first thing is kasha Rebbe halach midiburai. That'd be that's what I was saying. And what I was saying is, even though I didn't say yevshi, I was talking about a holech, right? So you should be a shleich la'alacha. So it should be imrotza l'achzir. It should say lo yachzir, but it should be imrotza l'achzir yachzir. So Rasulio, and vice versa, kasha b'nasim. Same question, really. Halach midibura, right? Even doesn't say maybe we should go by what she said, right? And therefore, imrotzel hachzir lo yachzir, right? It should even say it should say that even though because he didn't say it doesn't matter if he said efshir or not. Maybe you're going what she said again because they're talking out. Both of them, the husband and the shliach, al iski gita v'dusheh. We don't have to be precise. So therefore, who knows exactly what's going on there in their minds? Whatever they by simple case, kedushin getting okay. So then say it was talking about kedushin. That's the inyan. It's as if it said arezagitech, but or maybe not. But in any event, here it's certainly unclear. So therefore, how do we know exactly what's going on in their minds? Whether it should be a shliach l'alacha, shliach kabbalah, it should change, it shouldn't change. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Chuna said, "Taka nasa shlucha." You're right. It becomes so. Therefore, this person becomes a shliach of both. In other words, you don't know what exactly his definition of shliach is, and in such a case, isar kulantin shlucha begoreshes and begoreshes. It's in such a case, it's a suffix erushin because you don't know what that as long as the get doesn't reach your hands. So if the husband dies while the get is in the hands of the shliach, she requires chalitza. Doesn't know if she's begoreshes or not. So so. If that's the case, how should be suffix aggressions according to both Rabbi Nassan and Rebbe. So therefore, what the Gemara is implying here is that if there is still a machlokas, that it must be that this is the machlokas that Rebbe holds like Rabbi Yossi, that basukim mosa inyan, any language that is said at the time of the Sina is said at the Aldas Adibor Tchila, and the Shliach spoke first, and he said iskabali. And therefore, that's what, unless he says EFC, then we go by the initial Libor. And Rabbi Nassan holds like Rabbi Huda, that no, we don't assume it's given al Libor Risha. And therefore, it's at least be suffix, I guess. We have to assume that it's given on the basis of whatever seemed to have been said last. What seems to have been said last is that You should be a shliach halacha, not a shliach kabbalah. Okay, so it seems that that's Malchus Rabbi Nosson says Gemara. That was all. That was what all who was saying to whom. Rabbi Chagai was saying this to Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi, and so the Gemara says, Amar Lei. So Rabbi Yossi said back to Rabbi Chagai. Okay, sounds like you might be right. What do you have to say about this? And evidently, that he knew that he was asking the question. He must have what to say about it. So he said, the Rabbi Zira. He said Rabbi Zira said back that this is Rabbi Chagai, I guess, responding. But Rabbi Zira Chir Barbun Abba Bar Rabbi Yosha said Ma Plikin that it's different, that the Machlokas Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nosson is different. The Maplikin, their Machlokas is Shifligo Daiton Lidvorim Acherim. It's the if they started speaking about other matters, even related matters, but other matters. But Avo Im Hayu Asukim Bos Inyan get to, if they're still talking about the get itself or the kedushin itself, so then it's a get a kedushin. For Hacha, here in the case of Rabbi Nosson, the kiplike I feel like it's looking also Indian machlekes. They're still involved in also Indian. In other words, they didn't change the conversation. They're still involved directly in that conversation. So therefore, this must be a different kind of machlekes. Because here, we should say, whatever this first statement was, that's the same should remain in effect. Whether they say EFC or didn't say EFC. There shouldn't be any machlekes about that. Because everybody agrees here, with no legal dvar macherim, it remains adas rishona, so it will be adas rishona. So the Gemara doesn't say what the machlok is here. The machlok is very ultimately is. But the Ritbaz says that it's actually the machlokes is like the Bavli there says. When he said, if holech is chi dami, if when you said holech in response to iskabel, or you're saying it's like schi, and the husband said holech in response to the shliach saying I'm shliach Kabbalah, is that holech interpreted to be holech like she said and acquire it? Is that holech considered to be no, don't take like she said, rather become a shliach halacha? So it's a question of understanding the semantics of the word holech. But in the end, it has nothing to do with Asukim Bosinian, not Asukim Bosinian. And that brings us well to Mem Aleph Hamrav, so we're going to stop here.